With the inventory of homes on the market being so low here in Idaho, I'm getting more and more calls from people saying, Trent, I think I'm just gonna buy some land and build that house myself. I have some experience, I think I can do it. Well, I think it's a beautiful dream. I myself have had that dream, but if you are serious about wanting to build your own house, there are several major factors that you have to consider before you go and potentially have a lot of heartache. So in this video, we are going to look at all of the different aspects you have to consider when trying to build your own house and why looking at having a custom builder do it for you might be the best decision you've ever made. Stick around. Hey guys, my name is Trent and I'm a realtor here in Idaho. If you're interested in knowing what it's like living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, or buying real estate here in Idaho, then this is the channel for you. Make sure you tap the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so every time I come out with a new video, you get notified. Now guys, I've been making these videos for about a year, and my favorite aspect of doing all of this is when I finally get to have that phone call, email conversation, or text messages where I get to actually talk to you guys that are watching the channel. You've been hearing what I'm saying, but you still have some questions and you're still trying to decide if Idaho is the right place for you to live. So if this is you and you are serious about wanting to get moved here, make sure you give me a call, shoot me a text or an email. Day, nights, weekends, it does not matter. I am always happy to help people figure out if Idaho is the best place for them to live. And guys, after watching this video, leave a comment for me in the comments section, letting me know if building your own home is a dream of yours, and if after watching this video you still want to do it, or you thinking maybe custom construction is the way to go. The purpose behind this video is not to crush dreams, but to let people know this is the reality that you're about to step into and whether you can take on that challenge or not. So let's dive in. In my last video, I discussed the hurdles in trying to buy and develop your own raw land here in Idaho and the challenges you face with trying to get it financed. So in this video, I want to discuss the challenges of building your own home on the land that you purchased and why looking at a custom construction company might be the best decision you've ever made and save you from a bunch of heartache. So something that we didn't really go into depth on in the last video was the number of listings for raw buildable land. If you go on a third-party website or even the MLS and look at the different plots of land, there's plenty of them out there. The problem is that not all of them are actually buildable. Some of them are gonna have issues like being landlocked where you don't have road access. Others are gonna be too far out for utilities to be brought in, and it's gonna make the investment way too costly to do it. You're also competing with every other person that has the dream of building on raw land and every builder and developer out there. Scarcity is high for raw buildable land, so this is where having a really good realtor and knowing what to look for is going to be really, really helpful. Realtors can go through and look at all the raw land listings for you that match your criteria and tell you which ones are viable and which ones are not. But let's dive into the building process, because in this video we're going to assume that you already have your raw land and you want to start building. The first thing that you need to know is unless you are a very experienced builder with a track record of success, meaning you've hit deadlines, you've avoided fines, you've avoided projects being put on pause, you are not going to be able to get financing from the bank. You need to have a general contracting license for most lending institutions to even consider financing you. So that means if you really do want to build the house 100% yourself, you are going to need to finance everything yourself or get a hard money loan, which can be very, very expensive. Now, I do know some people who do have a general contractor friend that was willing to sign off on the project as being the general contractor while letting their friends do all of the work. Well, obviously this is a no-go because it is fraudulent. You can get caught, and it does come with serious fines. Anytime you lie on an official application, especially for an institution like a bank, you are subjecting yourself and your friend with the general contractor's license to a lot of litigations, fines, all kinds of issues. So I would not recommend it. And a lot of us don't have a general contractor friend that is that cool to be willing to risk their license. So probably not something you even want to go ask for. So ultimately, you're going to have two choices. You either pay for it yourself or you get financing. So let's assume you have the money and you're going to pay for it yourself. Here are the factors you need to consider. First is you are going to need a very well thought out, designed, and signed off plan for the city or county to approve construction before it begins. This is going to require multiple tradesmen, architects, engineers. You're going to need to get a lot of work done before you can even begin construction. And right now, that's not the easiest thing to find because a lot of people are very, very busy. And when it comes to working with someone who's trying to build their own home, you are definitely at the bottom of the list. It's the builders, it's the people that do this every single day that are going to have the fewest questions. They're the ones that all of these tradesmen are going to want to work with, not the lowly builder who's trying to do it themselves and needs a lot of help. And remember, you have to have everything signed off on and approved before you can get the permit to begin construction. So this is not something that you want to just slough off. The next thing that you have to consider if you're going to build a house yourself is you are going to have to become an expert at licensing, permits, and inspections. If any of these things are missed, the county or the city can come in and tell you to halt construction until it's remedied. And if they think that you purposefully try to skip out or negligent on one of the issues, they can fine you with a significant cost and completely shut down the entire project. So something that you really, really need to consider if you're not good with paperwork, if you're not good with sticking to deadlines, remembering exactly how something's supposed to be done, this can be a major issue in trying to build your own house. So on to the next factor is contractors. I don't know anyone who is capable of doing every single aspect of building a home themselves, so you're gonna need to hire out certain parts of the job. You're definitely going to want to call and try to get a solid quote before you start construction. Because what I do know right now is all of the trades in this area are booked out weeks, months, and some even years. Like you heard in my last video for the well driller, 18 to 24 months just to have that taken care of. The other thing that you have to consider is if you're trying to build yourself, you're immediately going to be at the bottom of the list for most of these outfits. The reason being is they are so booked up with developers and builders and people that are doing this every single day that they're going to prioritize those projects over yours. So even if you do get a solid estimate and they do sign off on it, and they say, hey, we're going to be out there, it's not uncommon to hear about outfits pushing you back even further because, sorry, my main contractor, my main customer needed me to come and fix an issue or needed me on that day, so you get pushed back. So that's definitely something you want to consider. Again, definitely try to do everything yourself, but the things that you can't do, make sure that you have a good contractor in place before you begin construction. All right, next major factor that you have to consider when trying to build your own house is supplies. Supplies are fluctuating greatly right now, not only in availability, but also in cost. So when you are doing an estimate on what it's going to cost to build this house, you have to put in a pretty major fudge factor, especially with us being in a pandemic and the ports being closed. I mean, there are major issues going on, and sometimes it can be really hard to get these supplies. So something you have to consider, something that you have to put in an error factor to make sure that you don't run out of money. Which brings me to the next major factor that you have to consider when trying to build your own house. Now, this is a terrible situation, but it does happen. People get 60, 70, 80% done with their home and they run out of money. They didn't put in the fudge factor for things not working out the way they thought, for costs going up or contractors bailing on them. And unfortunately, if the home is only so far finished, you won't be able to get your certificate of occupancy. So you're gonna have to be living somewhere else while paying for the property that you have now and you're trying to build on. And this can lead to some pretty disastrous results. There are people that have had to go and try to sell a property that is not finished, and it ends up being sold for pennies on the dollar. So that is probably the worst case scenario that can happen, is getting started and then not having enough money to finish. Because the other thing is even, doesn't matter how close you are to finishing, a bank, I don't think they're gonna touch it. You're gonna have to find that very specific, probably a hard money lender to be able to let you finish that house, because there are so many factors. And if you're building it yourself, the bank doesn't want to put themselves at risk going, well, what if it doesn't finish? What if they can't get a certificate of occupancy? You can't sell that house for very much if there's no certificate of occupancy, so definitely something you want to consider. Now, the other very major factor, and I hope I'm not bumming everybody out by telling you all these things that you have to consider, but this is serious stuff. If you plan to hire out most of the work or a good portion of the work, you have to ask yourself, how good are you at running a team of roughneck blue-collar individuals? I have worked in the trades as a low-voltage technician, and I can tell you, if you don't speak the lingo, if you don't earn their respect or know how to be very straightforward and blunt with somebody, they are going to walk all over you, and this can cause major issues. They can put you between a rock and a hard place where you've already paid the deposit. You don't have the money to go and hire a different electrical outfit or plumbing outfit, and if they're not getting their butts out there to do it, or they're not doing it right, you are now stuck. Construction halts until certain parts of the project can get finished, and so you have to be able to assert yourself and make sure that you're running those teams appropriately and making sure everything's lining up so that the drywall's not getting put up before the electrical is put in, because I've seen that happen. I have seen, not electrical, but low voltage, where the drywaller comes and drywalls over and paints and textures and everything over the wires for an alarm system, so we had to charge a whole bunch of money for a wireless system, even though they paid to get it done so that it was hardwired and be a lot cheaper. These things can happen, and it happens when someone doesn't know how to run a crew. So running a construction crew is something that you're gonna need to consider if you're gonna hire out a lot of the work. There's also the aspect of liability. When you are hiring crews, you have to make sure that they are licensed, bonded, and insured. The reason being, if they slip, if there's an accident, if something happens and they don't have the proper insurance, guess who they're gonna go after? They're gonna go after you, because hey, you're the person with the land and you're building a custom home, so you probably have plenty of money. This can be a massive issue, and it can halt construction on your home until these things are dealt with. So definitely something to consider. Now guys, I know I probably have bummed you out with all of my doom and gloom of trying to build your own house, but my parents did it when I was born. They were building a house in Santa Cruz, California, and it took 2 years and way over the cost that they had estimated. So I grew up hearing these stories, and I know they're still very real and relevant today. But I'm here to tell you there is a fantastic alternative solution to trying to build your own house. The fact of the matter is, trying to build your own house is not going to save you as much money as you think, because of the cost of supplies, because of contractors being weeks and months out for work. They're charging a premium. Now guys, again, I am not trying to completely bum you out or deter you from your dream of building your own house. If you have the skill set, you have the money, and you have the determination, I think it is an awesome achievement to be able to say, yep, I built this house myself. But for the rest of us, people like me, I don't think I could handle it. I think it would be too much stress. It'd be too difficult. So the alternative option is to go with a custom construction company. And in Idaho, there are some really good ones that will take care of all the permitting, licensing, inspections, hiring the contractors, taking care of the supplies. They take care of it all. So you get to be part of the fun process of designing the house, of picking out the color of carpet and tile and granite and all the things to make it your own home. Now, if you are gonna go work with a custom construction company, there's a few things that you really need to consider when you're deciding who to work with. First being, how much control do you want to be able to have over the home? Some of these custom construction companies just have a template, and they allow the very basic options: color of paint, the color of trim, things like that. Very simple. They are not going to move windows. They're not going to expand rooms. They don't want to do that. They're just there to basically bust them out and get as many customers done that year as they can. But there are custom builders out there that will let you even have a design built by an architect that they will come and build for you. They'll let you choose exactly what you want in the home. The other factor is these processes can take anywhere from 6 months to 12, 18 months long. So you have to decide, do you
just want to be representing yourself when it comes to working with a builder, or would you rather have a realtor who's representing you and your best interests throughout the entire process? Most of the time things can go fine, but when things get a little hairy, when there's a misunderstanding, maybe something wasn't on the contract that should have been, that's what realtors are there to do, to make sure that you're getting exactly what you want and everything's on the level. And the best part is you as the buyer don't have to pay for the realtor. We get paid by the listing or the construction company. So that's it, guys. Those are the major factors you need to consider on whether you want to build your own home or you want to have a custom construction company do it for you. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, if building your own home was something that you were considering doing, and if after watching this video you still want to do it, or you're thinking custom construction company is probably the way to go. And if you did like this video, guys, give me a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and as always, if you are serious about getting moved here, make sure you reach out with a phone call, text, or email. Day, nights, weekends, it does not matter. And until the next video, guys, I will see you later.